Let this gentle tale bring you to a place of rest and calm. Dan and the Devotion of Ma. This story is about the enduring friendship and devotion between the young man Dan and the magical helpful sprite named Ma as they overcome various challenges together. In a small village nestled between lush hills and babbling brooks lived a young man named Dan. His days were a chrysal of routine, waking at dawn to tend to the fields and retiring at dusk, with weariness bowing his shoulders. Though his life seemed mundane to an outsider, Dan found joy in the simple rhythm of nature and the companionship of his dear friend, Ma. Ma was no ordinary friend. He was a helpful sprite, a creature of the forest, who could make flowers bloom with a mere thought and summon rainbows to paint the sky. With luminous eyes and a cloak woven from autumn leaves, Muck stood out vibrantly against the village's earthy tones. His devotion to Dan was unwavering, for Muck had witnessed Dan's kindness not only to him but to all living beings. This bond was forged on the day Muck first appeared, when Dan had rescued him from a trap set by hunters. Muck, grateful and free, vowed to stay by Dan's side, offering his magical assistance in whatever small ways he could. Their lives intertwined, like threads in a tapestry. One summer, a fierce storm threatened the village. Fierce winds howled like wolves in the night, and Dan was determined to protect his home and crops. Rain pouring down like a river, Dan struggled to secure the fragile roofs and save the trembling plants from drowning. Muck, seeing Dan's struggle, decided it was time to act on his promise. With a whisper to the winds, Muck calmed the storm and turned the relentless downpour into a gentle mist. The villagers awoke to a miracle. The storm had passed, and their homes were safe. Though suspicious of magic, they began to appreciate the little sprite who had helped them in times of need. Winter came, wrapping the land in a blanket of snow. The village was serene and silent, but for Dan, everything seemed to slow impossibly. His scarce crops needed nurturing, despite the harsh cold. And Muck lent his aid by warming the soil and coaxing life from the frozen ground. His devotion prevented starvation, and Dan and his village prospered even in the bleakest of times. As seasons passed, Dan and Muck's friendship grew only stronger, bonded by shared trials and triumphs. Eventually, Dan became an elder of the village, respected for his wisdom and known as the man who lived in harmony with magic. On warm summer nights, villagers would gather around him to hear tales of his adventures with Muck, marveling at the beauty of their friendship and the sprite's devotion. Though time changed everything, Dan knew one thing remained constant: the devotion that Muck had shown him throughout his life, a reminder that true friendship transcends the boundary between ordinary and extraordinary. Now, let's continue with a peaceful story. Hainan Glucksanya, the Butterfly of Wisdom. This story is about Hana, a young girl in a village, and Glucksanya, a wise butterfly, who teach each other lessons of wisdom through nature's stories. Once upon a time, in a vibrant village nestled between blooming fields and whispering woods, lived a young girl named Hana. She had glossy black hair and eyes that sparkled like stars in the night sky. Each day, Hana explored her surroundings with an eagerness to learn, absorbing nature's lessons with wide-eyed wonder. One evening, as the sun painted the horizon with hues of purple and gold, Hana wandered into the heart of the woods, seeking the whispered wisdom of the forest. Suddenly, she noticed a butterfly resting gently on a leaf, its wings a tapestry of iridescent blues and emerald greens. The butterfly's name was Glucksanya. Now, I am the keeper of wisdom here, guiding those who seek to learn from the world. Hana was captivated by Glucksanya's aura of serenity and warmth. She asked, "What can you teach me, wise Glucksanya?" Lavinia fluttered gracefully, landing atop Hannah's shoulder. "Let me show you," she said, and began to stories of ancient trees, the rhythms of the wind, and the secrets held by the river stones washed smooth by time. Hannah listened intently, her heart swelling with admiration and curiosity. The stories carried the echoes of generations past, and each tale was imbued with lessons of patience, humility, and courage. "To understand wisdom," Gloxinia explained, "listen not only to words but to silence, for silence often holds the deepest truths." They spent the evening together, sharing tales and laughter under the watchful gaze of the moon. As night embraced the land, Hannah learned that wisdom is found not just in grand pronouncements, but in quiet moments and subtle whispers of nature. With renewed understanding, Hannah returned home, the teachings of Gloxinia resonating in her heart. Her life blossomed with the clarity she gained from that magical evening. Years later, Hannah, now a woman, often revisited the woods to seek counsel from Gloxinia, who was always there, her wings radiant as ever. She understood that wisdom was a journey, not a destination. The bond between Hannah and Gloxinia grew, a testament to the enduring magic of their shared moments. And thus the little village thrived, warmed by the wisdom that flowed through its heart, carried by a girl and a butterfly. Another tale begins to bring you rest. Buttercup and Blossom, a tale of forgiveness. This story is about a girl named Buttercup and her frog friend Blossom, who learn the true meaning of forgiveness and the strength of friendship across a vibrant meadow. Once upon a time, in a vibrant meadow filled with colors more vivid than the rainbow, after a spring shower, lived a kind-hearted young girl named Buttercup. She spent her days playing amidst the wildflowers and whispering secrets to the creatures under the soothing embrace of the warm sun. Her closest friend was a clever little frog named Blossom, who had eyes as green as the lily pads he often danced upon while singing tunes that echoed across the meadow. They were inseparable, those two, sharing everything from joys to dreams of adventure. One bright morning, Buttercup discovered that Blossom had accidentally knocked over a pot of precious seeds she was going to plant. A faint gust had scattered them far and wide across the meadow. Buttercup's initial reaction was one of disappointment and frustration, feelings that were as prickly as nettles on her skin. Blossom saw the sadness cloud her face and felt a wave of guilt wash over him. His strokes of apology reverberated in the morning air as he tried to make amends. Although Buttercup was upset, deep down she cherished the bond with Blossom more than the seeds themselves. Forgive, she realized, meant to embrace their friendship over fleeting frustrations. She took a deep breath, letting go of her anger, and smiled at Blossom, whose hopeful eyes glistened under the sunlight. Together, they spent the day searching for the scattered seeds, laughter bubbling up between them like the spring rivers flowing nearby. With each found seed, they celebrated a treasure more insightful than gold, each mirroring the strength of their friendship and the grace of forgiveness. The tough understood that real growth wasn't just in the soil and sun, but in letting kindness bloom within one's heart. As twilight painted the sky with hues of lavender and violet, Buttercup and Blossom sat side by side under the enormous oak tree, whose branches sheltered them like a protective hug. The stars began to twinkle overhead, whispering ancient tales, both knew by heart. Blossom croaked softly, sharing songs of frost from distant lands, while Buttercup dreamily gazed at the sky, imagining adventures and beautiful gardens where forgiveness made everything blossom anew. They fell asleep under the starlit sky, warmed by their restored friendship and the lesson of forgiveness they'd learned so well. Another gentle tale is ready to be shared. Fox and Angelonia, a tale of forgiveness. This story is about a girl and a snake who learn the true power of forgiveness. In a lush, emerald forest, where the trees whisper ancient secrets, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Phlox. Enchanting flowers decorated her long, flowing hair, and the animals adored her gentle spirit. Every morning, Phlox wandered through the woods, offering her songs and stories to the birds and woodland creatures. One crisp autumn day, while exploring deeper into the forest than ever before, Phlox discovered a hidden glade bathed in golden sunlight. In the center, coiled round a moss-covered stone, was an extraordinary snake with the most vibrant scales she had ever seen. The snake's name was Angelonia, and she was known among the forest creatures for her wisdom and grace. Phlox was entranced by Angelonia's beauty and approached her with cautious admiration. Tentatively, she said, "Hello, I am Phlox, and I mean no harm." Angelonia lifted her head, her emerald eyes sparkling with curiosity, and replied, "Greetings, young one. I am Angelonia. Welcome to my home." As the days turned into weeks, Phlox and Angelonia formed an unlikely friendship, sharing stories of their worlds and dreams under the twinkling canopy of stars. Phlox learned from Angelonia the ancient language of the forest and the power of patience and understanding. One chilly morning, word spread through the forest of a terrible misunderstanding between the animals and Angelonia. The animals believed that Angelonia had stolen the precious acorns they had gathered for the winter. Distressed and feeling betrayed, Angelonia retreated to her hidden glade in the mistrust from her beloved forest friends. Learning of this, Phlox's heart ached for her friend. She decided to seek the truth and help the creatures see reason. Determined to clear Angelonia's name, Phlox organized a forest meeting under the great oak tree. She spoke gently and passionately, urging the animals to listen and consider Angelonia's side of the story. "Angeloni has always been our friend and ally," Phlox said, her voice strong yet kind. "Before we cast judgment, let us seek the truth." Moved by Phlox's sincerity and trust in her friend, the animals agreed to investigate further. Together, they discovered that it was not Angelonia, but the mischievous squirrels who had pawned off the acorns to other parts of the forest. The realization brought a wave of relief and a lesson in forgiveness. The animals gathered once more, this time to apologize to Angelonia for their hasty accusations. With a forgiving heart, Angelonia welcomed them back with open arms, delighted to have her friends return. Phlox watched as the forest creatures rekindled their bond, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She had learned that sometimes the strongest friendships are forged in the fires of forgiveness. From that day on, Phlox, Angelonia, and the forest creatures lived in harmony, their hearts united by the profound lessons of understanding and forgiveness. May you wake up renewed and refreshed. Sweet dreams.